Hello and welcome to the News at 7, where we get to the heart of the day's stories and communities across Scotland tonight. The US President Donald Trump is expected to visit Scotland later this month. Police say extensive preparations are underway. We'll be live at President Trump's golf course on the Menny Estate in Aberdeenshire. Also tonight, the troubled Ferguson Marine Shipyard has secured a contract to build warship parts for the Royal Navy. We'll have all the sport for you too. Chris McLaughlin will be reporting from the Scottish Open.
And in the sport, to join me from the Renaissance Club in East Lothian as some of the world's best golfers prepare for the start of the Scottish Open.
And we take a look at a new exhibition that recreates a battle between the Romans and the Picts. Hello, I'm Sarah McMillan. Welcome to the News at 7. Good evening. US President Donald Trump is due to make a visit to Scotland later this month. It's expected he could visit his new golf course in Aberdeenshire when it opens, though it's understood there will be no private meeting with King Charles. Trump will also make a full state visit to the UK later on in the year, most likely in September. Well, our reporter Rebecca Curran joins me now. Evening, Rebecca. What do we know then about this potential visit?
Well, there's been absolutely nothing official as yet, Sarah, but rumours have been swirling for quite some time, and that's not least because Donald Trump, the president's own son, Eric, had said that previously that his father would open the new course here at the Menny Estate later this month. But while there's been no official confirmation, this statement from Police Scotland today will surely set tongues wagging again. It's quite a short statement. I'll read it to you in full. It's from Assistant Chief Constable Emma Bond. She said planning is underway for a potential visit to Scotland later this month by the President of the United States, and added, while official confirmation has not yet been made, it's important that we prepare in advance for what would be a significant policing operation. And it certainly would be. If this visit goes ahead, it will be the first time that Donald Trump has travelled to Scotland since his victory in the US election. And where presidents go, there has to be a huge security detail, which is very expensive. But let's not forget, Police Scotland has done this before. During his last visit to Scotland during his first term in 2018, his last visit as president, it required a major security operation. There were thousands of people protesting in Glasgow, Edinburgh and Aberdeen. During that visit, he was booed during a round of golf that he was playing at his Trump Turnberry Ayrshire resort. A paraglider also flew over with a banner that criticised the president. So lots of things for Police Scotland to consider when they are preparing for this potential visit. But we should say there has been no official confirmation either from the White House today or the president's representatives here in Scotland.
So Rebecca, remind us then a bit about President Trump's links with Scotland.
Yeah, so first of all, I mean, they go back quite some way because President Trump's mother, Mary Ann MacLeod, was born here. She was born and raised on the Hebridean island of Lewis before she then moved to New York. But then obviously there are his business connections, his investment in Scottish golf here at the Menny Estate, and as I just mentioned, at the Trump resort in Ayrshire, Trump Turnberry, which he bought from a Dubai-based group in 2014. But there's been many controversies over the years, many protests, and I think that that will be on the mind of not only Police Scotland but the Scottish Government as well. The Scottish Government has released a statement this evening. It says that the Scottish Government has been working collaboratively with the UK Government to support Police Scotland preparations for a potential visit to Scotland by the President of the United States, and it added the First Minister was briefed last night on policing preparations.
OK, our reporter Rebecca Curran, thank you very much for bringing us up to date on all of that from the Menny Estate in Aberdeenshire. Now, the Scottish Government-owned Ferguson Shipyard has signed a major contract with BAE Systems to build parts for the Royal Navy warship HMS Birmingham. Last week, a committee of MSPs warned that the Port Glasgow shipyard needed investment if it was to survive. The yard currently only has one contract, the long-delayed MV Glenrosa ferry, which is being built for Calmac. Our transport correspondent, David Henderson, has more detail for you.
What comes next when this ferry sails from the Ferguson shipyard? All going well, by this time next year, MV Glenrosa will have joined the Calmac fleet, leaving behind a yawning gap at the yard and, until today, an empty order book. That's not a comfortable thought for bosses here or the 300-strong workforce. Now, a new contract's been signed to help build one of these for the defence giant BAE Systems, a new warship destined for the Royal Navy. A Type 26 frigate HMS Birmingham will be put together here in Govan in a vast new assembly hall. 3 steel sections of it will be assembled at the Ferguson yard, then brought upriver when they're ready to use. So it's defence work funded by the UK government supporting a yard owned by the Scottish government.
I would hope that it's going to form a large part of the work that Ferguson's is going to do. Like, we obviously already have hundreds of people from my constituency employed at Govan and Scotstoun building the Type 26 frigates. I think that's only going to increase as the amount of defence spending increases over the years to come. And I think Ferguson's has a really central role to play in that, and we've seen that today with this vote of confidence from BAE.
The shipyard won't say how much the contract is worth or how long the work will last. That, it seems, is commercially sensitive. But we do know this is fabrication work, not full-scale shipbuilding. That means it can't involve the entire workforce here. The SNP's faced recent pressure over its stance on defence, as it doesn't provide public funding for munitions. But there was a welcome for today's news.
It's an important commercial contract that's been won by Ferguson Marine, and it will help to contribute towards the future of the yard. The government, of course, has contracts already there through the Glenrosa ferry, which is yet to be completed, but the winning of commercial work will help to secure the future of the yard, and the government is obviously working with Ferguson's to make sure that's the case.
Union officials say this new contract helps, but they warn the future of the yard won't be secure till it wins much bigger contracts to build ferries or other vessels. David Henderson, reporting Scotland, Port Glasgow.
Now, it's an issue which created a huge rebellion on the Labour backbenches, and tonight MPs are to vote on the latest stage of the welfare reforms at Westminster. Ministers have already watered down their plans twice by delaying cuts to some disability benefits and stripping others out of the bill entirely. Our correspondent Phil Sim is at Westminster for us tonight. And Phil, is this latest version of the bill likely to pass then?
Well, they're voting right now, but the jeopardy around it's really gone. The concessions the government made ahead of and during the debate last week has really staved off the rebellion. The headline from people in Scotland will be that from next year it will be a bit harder to claim the health element of universal credit, but there will be an increase to the basic allowance of that benefit, and changes to personal independence payments have been stripped out of this bill entirely, which is good because it means we don't have to go into the complicated nature of it being devolved and not applying in Scotland having been replaced. So big changes have been made to this legislation. Ministers say it now strikes the right balance. That is not enough, however, for some rebels, including one Scottish Labour MP.
What we have seen after 14 years of austerity that has decimated the country and created so much poverty is we really do need to provide some sort of change. That's what we got elected on last year. And £2 billion worth of cuts, that's not the change that anyone voted for.
So, Madam Chair, the bill will protect existing claimants in a very powerful way, including those with fluctuating health conditions, but move decisively to a more proactive, pro-work system. That is what we need.
And Phil, we could just see some pictures there of the vote taking place. Where is all this likely to go next then?
Well, the bill itself will go into the House of Lords, and there will still be a review next year of UK disability payments. But that's not going to deliver the immediate financial impact the government have been hoping for. They had targeted £5 billion worth of savings by 2030 through this bill. That has been wiped out by the changes. And the question is what they're going to do about that. The Scottish Government has been pushing for income tax increases at a UK level. They say that's what they did to fund a more generous system in Scotland. Keir Starmer today ruled out any increases to income tax, to national insurance or to VAT, but he would not be drawn on questions about a wealth tax or changes to tax thresholds. So it's possible that those are among the options being chewed over at the Treasury as they try to decide how to balance the books.
OK, Phil, our Westminster correspondent Phil Sim, thank you very much. Now, access to compensation for victims of the infected blood scandal should be quicker and fairer. That's according to a report published today. 1 year on from the end of the public inquiry into the scandal, Sir Brian Langstaff, who chaired the investigation, said too few people had received compensation. Here's some of what he said earlier.
Well over 1,000 people had either come to London to hear the results of the decades-long battle for the truth or watched online. Some of them are no longer with us. One man spent his last days applying for compensation, but died before the process was complete. His family don't know when they will receive the recognition that should have been his. A mother in her 80s, whose 2 sons and husband were infected at the same hospital, died before she was even allowed to start the process. Many fear they will not live to see the recognition which compensation brings.
He also said that these long waits mean thousands of victims are being harmed further by the infected blood scandal. It's thought 300,000 people were infected with HIV and hepatitis B or C in the 1970s and 80s, including around 3,000 people here in Scotland. Our health correspondent Lisa Summers takes a look now at how we got here.
It's impossible to put into words what victims of the infected blood scandal have been through. Children dying with AIDS, people losing their livelihoods, their relationships, and then having to fight for decades just to be listened to, particularly in Scotland, where a previous public inquiry was deemed a whitewash by campaigners. So last year, when the UK public inquiry found that people had been repeatedly let down and there had been a cover-up, there was a real sense of vindication. But a year on, and only 460 people have received compensation. Now, concerns around that prompted Sir Brian Langstaff to reopen his public inquiry. In his report today, he's highly critical of the government for not listening to people and not including them. And he says the compensation scheme has to move faster and be fairer. Talking to people affected, well, they say that they continue to have faith in Sir Brian, but they say faith will only be restored and closure only found when the government deliver.
Lisa Summers there. Thank you for joining us on tonight's News at 7. We have much more for you in the programme, including a new exhibition that puts you right at the heart of an ancient battle between the Romans and the residents of southern Scotland.
Lots of sunshine to come through the second half of this week, and it's warming up, especially at the weekend, by which time we'll be firmly in heatwave territory. I'll have a full forecast later in the programme.
But first, some more news for you. And the former Rangers player Kyle Hutton has appeared in court accused of killing a woman in a road crash. He allegedly hit the victim, Victoria Cairns, on Farmloan Road in Rutherglen on the 2nd of November last year. She died at Glasgow's Queen Elizabeth University Hospital 4 days later. Hutton, who played for the Ibrox side between 2010 and 2015, is claimed to have been under the influence of alcohol at the time. He faces another allegation that he failed to cooperate with a breath test at the scene and failed to provide 2 breath samples at a police station. The accused made no plea at the private hearing at Glasgow Sheriff Court and was bailed. The next court date is yet to be set. Now, people with neurological conditions and those who care for them are being overlooked by the health and care system. That's according to the Neurological Alliance of Scotland, which found that 2/3 of adults are struggling to cope, while many carers are at breaking point. Ellen Beaton has the story.
You feel there's always a pain, there's always a discomfort about simple things.
Donald McPhee has dystonia. It's a neurological condition that affects nearly every part of his life.
If you're having some like toast and you're spreading butter or whatever, again, it's that action that it creates spasms within me.
In the 40 years since his diagnosis, he's been involved with helping others, but he doesn't think that services have improved enough in that time.
There are something like 600 odd recognised neurological conditions. But that means then that you need an awful lot of people to care for people, to then kind of like to look after people, to diagnose, to offer information. Those people aren't there. The numbers are not there.
Like so many others in his situation, Donald relies on family for much of his care.
My wife and my son are really important because there's so many things that kind of like they help me with, just even basic things about making food and so on. Having a neurological condition is very lonely at times. You know, you feel as if you're on your own, that nobody understands you, you know, that nobody's listening. And I think having that support around you is really, really important.
New evidence highlights the strain that carers and people with neurological conditions are under.
Well, we're finding that health and social care services are only meeting the needs of around half of the respondents to our survey, and people are struggling to access mental health support as well as social care and healthcare. And 1 in 5 of our respondents were very unhappy with their experience of healthcare over the last 12 months.
The Scottish Government had a 5-year plan for improving quality of life and health outcomes for people like Donald who have neurological conditions. But that plan has now come to an end. And with pressure building on the health and social care system more broadly, the concern that some have is that it's not clear what's to come next. A spokesperson for the Scottish Government said that over £3 million has been spent on improving quality and access to neurological care. They also said that there's more support for unpaid carers coming, including help to get breaks from caring responsibilities through Local Authority Carers Act funding. In the meantime, Donald continues to raise awareness with the future in mind.
Even if I'm not around, that's fine. As long as this helps in some way, you know, to improve the lives of other people, then my work is done in that sense.
Ellen Beaton, reporting Scotland.
OK, time to take a look at some of the day's other stories for you now. A River City actor is accused of rape and a string of crimes against 4 different women. 44-year-old Ian Robertson, who played Stevie O'Hara in the BBC soap, faces a total of 8 charges which span between 2004 and 2020. A trial is scheduled to begin in June 2026 at the High Court in Glasgow. Robertson denies all the charges against him. 2 people have been arrested and charged in connection with gangland violence across the Central Belt, bringing the total number of arrests as part of Operation Portaledge to 54. A 39-year-old man and a 37-year-old woman were arrested and charged in Cope Bridge on Friday in connection with the willful fire-raising of a vehicle. They'll appear at Glasgow Sheriff Court later. Elsewhere, police are appealing for information following a fatal crash on the M9 northbound near Carnshaw. The incident happened at around 4:30 this morning and involved a black Vauxhall Corsa. Emergency services attended and the driver, a 37-year-old man, died at the scene. The front seat passenger, a 32-year-old man, was taken to the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh with serious injuries. His condition is described as stable. And lastly, a man has been jailed for 10 years after he blinded his brother in one eye during a knife attack. Patrick McGraw repeatedly struck his older brother Andrew with a knife at the victim's home in Barlanark, Glasgow in January last year. Patrick McGraw denied a charge of attempted murder during the trial at the High Court in Glasgow, but was found guilty. OK, well, still to come, we have the weather with Gillian. And have you ever wondered what a Roman battle was really like? We'll take a look. But first, let's take a look at the sport now. Paul Barnes is with us. Hello.
And golf. And if you're heading to the East Coast over the next few days, you're in for a treat, Sarah. Hello there. He's the champion and he's here to win it again on the eve of the Scottish Open. Oban's Robert McIntyre is crystal clear on how massive this tournament is to him and how much he wants to defend his title. He'll have his work cut out in a very strong field that includes world #1 Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy, who's fresh from completing a career Grand Slam with his win at the Masters in April. It promises to be a fantastic week on the East Coast Links, and Chris McLaughlin is there. Chris, the world's best are in town and blue skies are forecast. Apart from the 4 majors, this is as good as it gets, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's fair, Paul. As you mentioned, the week before the Open, blue skies, yes, absolutely help. I'm told the potential of record attendances here over the weekend as well. There's always a little bit of a buzz here around this time of year. I think Historically, though, Paul, this is an event that has struggled a little bit to find its feet, to establish itself. It's moved around Loch Lomond and Castle Stewart, of course, in the past. It's been here since 2019 at the Renaissance Club, and it's really flourished, you would say. It's got bigger and bigger every year. The players who come here genuinely enjoy it, especially those who have had success here.
I'm coming here to win the Scottish Open. I mean, it is the biggest golf tournament outside of the major championships for me. I've won it once, but every time I pitch up here, I want to win it again. I mean, I want to keep this trophy every year until I stop playing. Obviously, the win in Canada was special with my dad, but I mean, winning the Scottish Open was above it.
I guess this is a tournament and a golf course that has grown on me over the years. You know, I don't think I started out too well here, but learned how to play the course a little bit better. Obviously had that great finish in 2023. You know, played well again last year. So yeah, looking forward to getting out there tomorrow and getting going.
And Chris, great to see the tournament's rise in prominence in recent years. And if you're a golf fan, quite a few months in prospect.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's start with here first, of course, because over the past few years, we've had some really, really exciting finishes, especially that Bob McIntyre win last year. The organisers will be hoping for something similar this year. Then, as you say, next week on to Portrush for the last of the majors, the Open Championship. It's not been there since 2019. There's real excitement in Northern Ireland about that one, especially given it's the year where Rory McIlroy won the Masters, so that's definitely one to look out for. Then, after the majors are finished, of course, it's on to New York at the end of September for the big one, the Ryder Cup, where the Americans will be absolutely desperate to win on home soil. Plenty to look forward to. All starts here, of course, tomorrow.
Yeah, so much to play for over the next few months in the world of men's golf. Chris McLaughlin at the Renaissance Club, thank you. Now, it's great to be back. That's Lawrence Shankland's message on signing a new contract at Hearts, although he never really left. It was the biggest will he, won't he of Scottish football this summer. After running down his contract at Tynecastle, Shankland decided to stay put, signing a 3-year deal. So why did he choose Hearts again? Honest chats with new manager Derek McInnes helped make his mind up, but family also played a big part in his decision.
I'm familiar with Hearts. I've been here long enough, and I knew what I was getting into if I came back, but I wanted to make sure that in my own head I was 100% committed to that decision, and that's why I took a bit of time on it. I just wanted to be sure on everything I was doing, and the new manager coming in, things changing a bit at the club. I had a couple of conversations with him at the end of the season. He kind of let me know that he was quite keen to keep me, so that was obviously one thing I had to consider, and then obviously other options that could have become available. There was a couple that popped up, and maybe on a financial side they were good, but in terms of the family side and the strength the family can give you around football, I think I need that support, and I was quite keen to have an option that would keep that available to me, and in the end I made the decision that Hearts was the best option for me. I think he knows how to get the best at me. I think he knows in terms of what type of player I am. He's seen me long enough and kind of come up against me long enough. He knows what to expect from me as well as a player, and that was part of the decision. Obviously you speak to him and he explains how he'd like to use you, and it was something I was interested in.
Heart striker Lawrence Shankland, and that's all your sports there.
Lovely stuff, Paul, but I've got something for you before you go, because now, do you remember this wee guy, as if by magic? It's Clyde, the 2014 Commonwealth Games mascot. Do you remember him?
I'm not sure if he's a lot of fun or if he terrifies me. I'm not sure.
Well, stay tuned to find out, because today he actually made a dramatic exit from the job. And bear with me, because a statement was read out on his behalf informing the world that he won't be the mascot for the 2026 Commonwealth Games.
I come before you today to address the recent and flattering speculation around my involvement in next summer's Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games. It's with a full heart and excitement about what's to come that I officially rule myself out of the running to be the mascot for Glasgow 2026.
Very sad news for Clyde. Now, have you ever pictured what it would be like to be part of a real-life Roman battle with shields clashing and arrows flying overhead? Well, the most accurate digital reconstruction of a Roman attack on what's now Scottish soil has just been completed, featuring over 8,000 individual characters and precise detail. David Knox has been to Burnswork Hill near Lockerbie to find out more.
These are the 5,000 or so Roman soldiers preparing for an attack. Above them, behind the ramparts, are some 3,000 natives of what is today southern Scotland.
Well, that was amazing, walking from a Roman siege camp up into the heart of a Celtic hill fort. What's even more amazing is that this is the exact moment that an actual siege became a full-force assault.
We think the hill fort was founded probably about 800 BC in the Bronze Age.
There are still signs here at Burnswork Hill of what happened all those centuries ago. The year was 140 AD and the new Roman emperor, Antonius Pius, was determined to make his mark on Caledonia.
The first thing over Hadrian's Wall that they hit is Burnswork Hill. And that's why we think that the siege camps here, or the assault camps, are so massive. This is an imperial project, and it's an imperial project that is going to succeed at all costs, so he's going to throw everything at it.
By treating the siege camps and hill fort as a crime scene, using excavation mapping, geophysics and even forensic ballistics, the most accurate reconstruction of a Roman assault in Britain has been created.
We've got the coordinates of all of the sling bullets that have been recorded in the more recent excavations. We've got the plans of all the previous excavations, and all that can be overlaid exactly on the terrain model, so we can bring all those different types of evidence into one three-dimensional display.
The end result allows visitors to the Trimontia Museum in Melrose to explore the siege. To keep the virtual walkthrough family-friendly though, the action has been paused moments before the attack began.
If you take previous form and any of the outcomes of sieges, it would have been a bloody massacre. And we clearly didn't want to represent that.
While the Romans brought many comforts and advancements to Britannia, they also brought death and destruction, none more so than on a hilltop overlooking the Solway Firth. David Knox, reporting Scotland, Burnswork Hill.
Time for the weather forecast now, and Gillian's with us. I like it when you bring us good news.
I know, it's warming up, Sarah. Could see 30 Celsius over the weekend. It's all down to high pressure, which is firmly in charge over the next few days, keeping weather fronts at bay. Lots of blue sky, lots of sunshine, and it will really warm up, especially for Friday and the weekend. Not often we see an outlook board like this one. Temperatures widely in the mid to high 20s. Looks like later on Monday is when we could see the first signs of that breaking down, and then it's cooler and fresher Tuesday onwards. The heat not quite with us yet, but tomorrow morning it will be a mild enough start. Temperatures around 14 or 15 Celsius. Could be some mist and fog to start for the Solway coast, but generally for southern, central, eastern Scotland we'll start with sunshine. More in the way of cloud and a little patchy rain for the Western Isles, Northern Argyll, the Northwest Highlands and perhaps Shetland as well, and quite a brisk southwesterly breeze in the far north and northwest to start the day. Generally we'll hang on to a good deal of cloud over the Northwest Highlands, some patchy rain pushing into the northeast for a time, but then later in the day rain becomes confined to Shetland. Otherwise it's dry, cloud thinning and breaking to allow some bright and sunny spells. Temperatures widely about 18 to 22 Celsius for most of us, still quite breezy in the northwest. Into Friday, high pressure shifts eastwards, sets up that hot humid southerly flow. Now there could be again some mist and low cloud affecting southwestern coast for a time on Friday. Otherwise though, it's blue skies, lots of sunshine, temperatures widely reaching the mid-20s, and into Saturday it's warmer still. Could be just some cloud grazing the Western Isles at times. Bit more of a southeasterly component to the breeze, and that could bring some har into North Sea coasts at times, pegging temperatures back here a wee bit. But generally, for many of us, it will be temperatures in the high 20s. Could see 30 Celsius in a few spots, and more of the same to come for Sunday, with high pressure in charge right across the UK. Lots of sunshine and feeling hot. Sunday is when we're most likely to see perhaps 31 Celsius in one or two spots, most likely in the northeast and perhaps the Northwest Highlands, then cooler and fresher later in the week. Sarah.
That looks lovely, Gillian. Thank you very much for bringing us up to date and all of that as always. Appreciate it. And that is all from us here tonight on Reporting Scotland News at 7. Louise Kelly will be here with your programme tomorrow. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.